say a word of thank you to Josh today. I went off from my house, and I got about halfway here, and I realized I left my dress shoes at home. All over my dirty tennis shoes. And he loaned me his Hey Dudes. And in the Lord's providence, we both have big, humongous feet. So they fit. Thank you, sir. Yeah. I enjoyed it. You said you remembered, you thought about Chicago. I was thinking about that little boy that used to run around with you and Molly when you were traveling, and here he is. I appreciate it, always looking out for him. I'm so glad to be back. I enjoyed last night. Bobby and I went riding around town. I got to meet Robert's new children back there. That oldest one, she's not a child, man. She's cute, precious, yeah. I want to talk about something I've had on my mind for a while this year. I wrote the book that he was talking about called Exceeding Great Joy. And that's the topic that every year I ask God to give me some new message or something fresh at Christmas. Because if you're not careful, you will just get to going through the motion, and it'll just become rote to you, and you'll just try to survive just to get through. And I've asked him to give me something fresh every year. One of the songs I'm going to sing this afternoon came out of one of those experiences. And this topic of joy has been on my mind since last Christmas. And I started working on the little Christmas devotion. It goes all the way through January. And there may or may not be a little funny story about your pastor in there. No, that's coming in the next one. That's coming in the next, yeah. But we're talking about the fact that joy was born into the world at Christmas. Joy, let me just say it this way. There's a story I heard about a lady and her little boy that was in church. And the little boy's kind of like some of you little guys in here. He's standing in the chair next to his mom, and she's not paying a lot of attention to him. And he starts turning around, and he's got this beautiful, infectious smile, that makes you want to smile. And everybody behind him started smiling back at him. And his mama happened to notice what was going on, and she reached over and grabbed him by the ear and twisted and told him to sit down and behave. Well, the sad thing happened. The little boy started sniffling a little bit and started crying. And Mama said, "That's better. This is church, boy. It's sad, though, that people think that. I've been in churches before, may have pastored one of them, I'll say out loud, but where it was just, God's frozen chosen. And they think you're supposed to be upset when you go to church. You're supposed to be mad at somebody. And they had lemon or lime juice for breakfast. And but sometimes people come to church and it's supposed to be all gloom and doom, they think, and that's not me. That's why I did the book. It's got, I think about 20, how many days in there? 31 days about joy. And is it really, I watch the news, you do too. Is it really possible in a down-to-earth kind of way that we can have joy in this world? Obviously, in here we believe that. I've been in worship with you already. I know you believe that, but some people think that it's an impossible thing today because the world is just so fallen and just keeps falling. And you turn on the news and it's just really kind of more frightening than it is joyful. But I believe that Christmas, and I know we think that the world's worse today, but I think it's pretty bad back then too, whenever the first Christmas occurred. And I think it is possible for us to have joy in the midst, to have a little island of joy that we are on during this time of year, and really and truly it should kind of spill over into the rest of our year. I've determined I'm going to just have fun in life. I turned 70 this year. And not that I haven't had fun already, but I'm going to enjoy the next 55 years that I've got left.
Without faith.
Yeah, I know. But anyhow, today I want to let some ordinary guys, some blue-collar, hard-working, scruffy-looking guys teach us about joy today. They were part of the very first Christmas. You probably know what I'm talking about, the shepherds. And they were in the fields near Bethlehem, and God brought them the very first Christmas message. He preached it to them through the angels in the sky. And these guys did something that we have to do if we're going to experience joy. They made some choices in their life. And that when that first Christmas occurred, they made some choices. And if we're going to experience joy, we're going to have to make those same choices, I believe. And these choices, the same kind of choices we need to make, and that we can make today. And I firmly believe that if you make these choices, you're going to be walking around these showers of joy throughout this Christmas season and the rest of the year. And the first choice that these guys made was to hear the good news. They plugged in. I mean, you ever been kind of down and just really kind of low, even to the point of where you have this I don't know if it's a disease, but it is some kind of a dysfunction. That is the mully grubs. I don't know if you've ever heard that one before. But, you've been that, and then all of a sudden, somebody calls you, and they have good news, and it just cheers you up. That happened to us, I don't remember how many years ago now. My youngest son, Clayton, he enters contests in sweet studies constantly. He has won so many things. I have a sweatsuit that has Miller Lite right here on I can't wear it. It was nice. It was from my son. Not going to let him live that down either. But another time, though, he called us and he said, I believe this. I won, I think it was from Coca-Cola. Was that it? What was it?
Burger King.
Burger King, that's right. He won like $30-something thousand sweepstakes. I know. And he used my name to enter it. And I was a good Christian. I shared it with him. But I had a choice between a new car and money. And you know me, I took the money. And I paid a few bills off. But those kind of calls, they're just wonderful. They lift you up. And they'll pull you out of the mully grubs. And look, if you've ever experienced something like that, you've just experienced the power of hearing good news. If you've ever had that time when the good news that hits you, it's like in Luke 2:10 where we see this, where the angel said, it says, but the angel said to them, the shepherds, do not be afraid. I think that was pretty appropriate. If I'd been out on the hillside and it was quiet and dark and me and the boys were sleeping or watching these boring old sheep, and the sky fills up, the angels in front of me, I would need somebody to tell me, do not be afraid. Because I know me well enough to know that would be my first reaction. But he said, don't be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be not just for you guys, but for all people in here, all people. This is great joy. And not everybody accepts it. Not everybody leans into it to hear it. But you've got to choose to accept joy. You've got to hear the good news. You have to choose to do that. Now, again, these sheep are hard. These guys it's a tough job, I have a feeling. Sheep are not that interesting even when they're awake, but these sheep are sleeping. You know what I mean? It's boring. And these guys, they do this day in, day out. And this was something that, and to be honest with you, these guys never would have expected God to speak to them directly. They were outcasts. That was the lowest of the jobs out there was a shepherd. And for that, they had to be minding their head, scratching their watch. What is going on here? Sort of like Mary did when the angel came to her. But the good news is that Jesus wants to do for us what he did for those guys. He made a difference in their lives. I have a feeling they were never the same. I have a feeling they were telling their grandchildren, you won't believe what happened on that hillside out there. But the good news is, what it is the good news is the story of what Jesus came to do. The good news is the fact that Jesus came to earth to tell us something. To tell us that God loves us. I love that message, that God loves us. And there are those strings attached to his love. His love is one of those in spite of type loves. I need that. I don't know about y'all, I needed the in spite of type love. It's the type of love that says, Billy, I know you kind of messed up. I know stuff that if those people at River of Life knew some of that stuff that you did or thought, they would not want you up there standing in front of them. And God says, you know what, Billy, I love you. And I think I told you this before, and that is that God says, I love you like I love my grandkids. There ain't another kind of love like that. There's nothing like it. I mean, they walk in and all those chemicals in your brain, and dopamine and serotonin and all that stuff just beat each other up in your brain. I mean, they can be being boogerheads, and they make me, I just love them. And God says, Billy, that's how much I love you. He says that to you too. You'll understand it one day when you have grandkids. I promise you that. It's a different kind of love. The good news is that God offers us one thing that we need: forgiveness. Anybody in here need forgiveness? Yeah. He offers us a new sense of direction for our lives. He offers us what He cares. The good news is that God cares for us. He cares for us whenever we are going through the toughest time in life. I know stories, some of you guys. I know you've been through stuff that I don't think without God you'd be able to be sitting here today. I know I wouldn't. Without His grace falling on us, giving us strength, that's the good news that Jesus came to tell us. That's joy. Romans 1:16 tells us how good the good news is. For I am not ashamed of the good news, the gospel about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also the Gentiles. The good news is that God has invited you to have a relationship with Him. And that's what Christmas is about. Christmas is you responding in prayer to Him, saying, I receive it. I believe you. I believe that you love me. I believe that you came to forgive me of my sin. Christmas means God has called you. He doesn't call you up on the phone and give you bad news. He calls you up to give you good news. If you will accept me, if you will accept my forgiveness, you will accept the life that I'm offering you, the good news is you can have it. There's none of this performance-based acceptance with God. I don't have to perform for Him. You don't have to do this, do that. It's just like my grandkids. They can be being bad as they can be, and man, He still says, come here, boy, give me a hug. Come here, let me give you a little love. That almost makes me want to tear up. God calls us, and when I was working on this, it reminded me of a great musical theologian, Stevie Wonder. He said, I just called to say I love you. I just called to say how much I care. Can you hear him saying that to me? I just called to say I love you, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. That's what God's saying to us. Man, if that doesn't give you a little joy, something's wrong. I mean, that is a love that nobody in here can give you. Most of us in here, I could probably do some things make me not love me at all. And that's not true with God. Joy does not depend on perfect circumstances either. Otherwise, none of us can have joy. I mean, I've never had perfect circumstances. They don't exist. Joy is not behind every cloud there is a silver lining. Sometimes behind a deep, dark, ugly, black cloud is another deep, dark, ugly, black cloud. And He's come to bring us the truth that in spite of all of that, even if it looks like there's no hope down the road for you, there's always hope. Don't ever give up. I wrote another song, it's called There Stands a Cross. Oh, and one of the lines, my favorite line in the song is, there's always hope because of the cross. It yells out to us that all hope is never lost. There stands a cross. And that's the joy of Christmas. Hebrews 10 says, even if you even had joy when everything you owned was taken from you. You know what? You can have that. Joy is not the same thing as happiness. Happiness changes with circumstances. Joy is, I know I have a loving God, and He loves me. And He is going to take care of this. And He's always good. He's always good. We don't know all His plans. I really look forward to hearing some what was going on behind the scenes some when I get there. And I think I've said this before, and that is probably when we get there, the first 100,000 years, we won't even think about asking those questions. You know, we'll just be enjoying, hugging on people that's gone on before us. I look forward to that. I tell you that, and that's one of the things about getting older, you're getting closer. You're getting closer. Yeah, I love that. Because the world, this world's not all there is. This is not all. When we look at all the horrible stuff, the gangs and all that stuff, and murder and all that kind of stuff, this is not all there is. The backdrop is not what we see out there. The backdrop is, there is no backdrop except for heaven.
That's right.
And the joy of heaven. First thing is, we have to hear it. We've got to choose to hear it. The second thing is, we have to choose to do what God tells us if we want joy. I've lost joy, almost lost it before in my life, but doing stupid things. You know, doing things that I knew when I was doing them. Now I know y'all are judging me right now. I know some of y'all probably did some of this too. Some things that you knew when you were doing it, you shouldn't have done. Some things that when I was doing it, I could hear Vivian Reddy saying to me, boy, you know, here's what she loved to tell me, and I hate this. I never told my kids this. You know that what if Jesus comes back and catches you doing that? Hated it. You know, imagine these guys, I mean, on that hillside, ordinary shepherd, star-filled sky, receiving extraordinary message, a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a humble manger. And what did these guys do? They acted on it. They didn't just sit back and have a committee meeting. They didn't say, well, maybe we ought to hold off on this, see if this is true. You know, I've been seeing things lately. That could have been some kind of a vision or apparition or something, you know. That may not have been real. No, what did they do? They got up. They put on their hey dudes and they went. I mean, they headed on out. They acted on their faith and moved their feet toward the earth. When the angel returned to heaven, these simple men turned to each other with wonder in their heart. And they acted on it. They said, let's go to Bethlehem, the Bible says. Let's go see what this is all about, what the Lord has told us. They didn't hesitate. They didn't doubt. They could have remained in the familiar. Sometimes the familiar is hard to break out of it. I mean, I slept in a hotel the last couple of nights and I missed my bed. And the older I get, the more I don't like missing my bed. I take my pillow with me, and I told the guy in the elevator today, he said, you brought your pillow? I said, yes, my Linus blanket. You know, Charlie Brown, I had to have my pillow there. We're attached. But, you know, how many of us, though, stand, and God may have told you something. Not that He may have told you something to do, and you hesitated to do it. He knew He wanted you to. And you just hesitated in your field of hesitation, you waited. God whispers to our hearts, trust me. Trust me. I'll never forsake you. I'll never leave you. There's so much in the Bible where God says, just trust me. Trust me with your future. Trust me with the decision you have to make. Trust me with that relationship. I'll give you wisdom. And we stand at the crossroads of faith. But here's a beautiful truth. As long as you have breath in your body, there's always time to trust God. He's standing at the stable door. And He is waiting for us to trust. And Christmas story whispers to us hope. He whispers to every heart in here, there is hope. Reminding us that there is exceeding great joy. And it waits for those who say simple three-letter word, yes. Yes, God, yes. Yes.
Amen.
When God calls, yes, I'll do it. We're going to Bethlehem. We're going to go see what the Lord said. The psalmist knew this secret. He wrote, the commandments of the Lord are right, bringing what? Joy to the heart. That's a good one to kind of write down and keep it right by where you see it on your bathroom mirror, or for me, on the refrigerator door, you know, 'cause I go there mostly. But he says, bringing joy to the hearts, commands of the Lord are clear, giving insight to life. There's a divine balance here. Joy naturally flows when we align our lives with God's commands. It's a natural consequence of being aligned with God. What He says to do, you find joy. What desires are you carrying today in your heart this Christmas season? What prayers hover on the edge of your heart that are almost too tender to speak, but you have them? You know what they are. Bring them to the Father. That's what Christmas says. Bring them to the Father. If your prayer, your request springs from a sincere heart, He delights in hearing them. When my kids were a lot younger, about 100 years ago, I loved it when they would come. You know, they were not like they were with their mama. You know, mama, 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 mama. They weren't like that with me. I mean, they would come to me, and I knew when they came and talked to me, they had something pretty special. And I didn't always do well with that. I was sometimes busy, and that maybe why they didn't come to me a lot. But I remember one time that broke me of that habit. The little boy that I tell you about, Clayton, it's until these others come up with some better prizes for me. He's my favorite. But he came to me one day. I was in the kitchen washing dishes because I'm that kind of husband. Watch me, guys. I'm the perfect husband. Yeah. You look at her, she's got tears in her eyes thinking about it. I was washing dishes, and little Clayton comes up behind me, and he starts tugging on my pants. He only about that high. And I, honestly, I was so far somewhere else in my brain washing dishes, and I didn't even know he was back there. And finally, he tugged on it so much he nearly pulled him down. And I said, "What, son?" And not my finest hour as a father, I'm telling you. He said, "Dad, I was just in my room playing with my Legos, and I thought, I hadn't told my dad I love him today." He came and told me, he said, "I love you, Dad." And he walked on. You know what? That boy got about 3 hours of uninterrupted Legoing with me. I'll never get over that day. You know? I think God would love us to tell him that more too. Come tug on him and say, "You know, I love you. I love you, God. Thank you. I love you." It's just something about hearing that. I had so many stories about that some people telling me they love me that I wasn't expecting it. You know, my dad did that one time. We were talking on the phone, and you know, that conversation sometimes can be the same over and over and over. And we had had the over and over and over conversation, and he ended the call. I think I said this maybe at his funeral, I can't remember, but he ends the conversation, and I got the phone up here, and he ends the conversation. "All right, son, I love you," and he hung up. 15 minutes, I know I had that phone up to my ear thinking, what in the world just happened here? You know, and I knew he loved me. I knew he'd do anything for me, but I just didn't ever hear him say it that often. But I don't know what got into him. I don't know what happened. But from that day on, it was like, "All right, son, I tell you I love you. I love you, son. Come and give me a hug, son. I love you." I learned some stuff about that. First of all, I tell my kids that, and I drive them crazy telling them that, especially Clayton. I know I'm picking on him today. Now he's watching. Now I'm letting you rest today, okay? She said she's going to watch the service. But, you know, Clayton, he's not a lovey-dovey type. I told his wife that before I married him. He's kind of cold with that stuff. But I go to him, and we're going to go visit him. He lives in North Carolina. And I tell him, "I love you, son." I tell you that. You know, "I love you, son." He said, "Yeah, someday I got it. Please don't tell me that." I know you love me. But me having a spiritual gift of aggravation, I tell him. Let me hurry up about this stuff I'm going on here. Let me go to that third choice that we have to make. Joy comes when you choose, and this is one that may seem out of place, but when you choose to tell somebody else about it. It brings joy to you when you tell somebody else what God's done to you, done for you. There's something about it when you see somebody so excited about hearing that message, and they do something with it. They hear it. I've got 3 or 4 people that I'll never forget. I prayed with them to receive Christ, and I look forward to one of them's already gone to heaven, and I look forward to that day. Whenever I see him, when I enter, and he's probably going to do what I'm going to do to my Sunday school teachers who put up with a bad little boy. I'm going to go find them. I'm going to hug them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for not giving up on that little boogerhead Billy Rick. Thank you for loving me and telling me about Jesus. And are there going to be people there for you? I mean, how many times have you told people? And I mean, you can tell people about Jesus with your life, but there's something about telling them with your words. And it's not hard. You don't have to learn some deep plan or anything. It is just a matter of telling them what he did for you. I encourage you to write out a paragraph or something. This is what I was like before I came to Jesus. This is what I'm like now, and it's all because of him. And you just share that. It doesn't have to be even a little tract. They're fine, but I mean, you don't need that. That's what that guy in the Bible, when Jesus healed him, and the Pharisees and Sadducees brought him in and said, "What happened to you?" He said, "I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm not a theologian. I don't know what happened. All I know is I woke up this morning, I couldn't see, and now I can." Another one said, "I couldn't walk, and now I can." That's witnessing right there. Tell them what Jesus has done for you. Go and tell. This is what the shepherds did when they, in Luke 2:17, when they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about the child. And they went out and immediately told everybody else. Tell somebody else. Don't hold it. I mean, I had a preacher one time, I was listening to a sermon about this, and he made a comment that I'll never, ever forget. He said, "Look, if you had found a cure for cancer, would you just share it only with your family? Would you just keep it to yourself? How cruel would that be? We have found the cure for cancer, eternal cancer. We found the cure for it, and we know it. And we are called to be just like these shepherds and go out and tell somebody who is dying to hear it.
That's right.
One heartbeat away, one click of the finger away from spending eternity separated from God." And again, say, "Well, I'm scared I'll mess something up." How do you mess up somebody in that condition? How can you make their condition worse? No. I think you say it and you trust God to interpret it and you let him have it. Luke 15 tells us why there's such a burst of joy when we tell the good news to others. It says, "I tell you, there is more joy in heaven over one sinner who changes his heart and life than over 99 good people who don't need to change." When you tell somebody else the good news, when they accept the good news, it changes everything. Everything changes. You can be forgiven. Today you can be forgiven. You can have that fresh start. I don't care what's back there. I do know if you accept what he offers today, I know what's out there. You can start walking on a path that is every step sings out joy to the world. Joy to the world. Silly me, I was thinking that other song. With all the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes. And people say, but look, I think that fits. I think it fits. Joy to all those people. That's what we're called to share. Now, I tell people, I don't preach as long as Bobby did, and I'm glad you don't have a clock I can see, but I think I may have gotten there where he was. So I'm hungry too, so we're about to wrap this up. But I think this time is so special. At the end of a message, when God's word has been brought, it says it never returns void. He speaks something to us. Now, how we respond is, we talked about choice today. It's your choice. You choose what the rest of your life's going to look like. You choose how much joy you're going to have. It's your choice. You choose and God gives.
That's right.
Would you bow with me? Today you can, maybe you need to say that little prayer. Just say it to him in prayer. I need to trust you, Jesus. God's gift to you is the gift of Christmas. It's the good news. He wants a daily relationship with you. He wants you to start that relationship by just talking to Him in prayer, trusting Him, by telling Him. I want us to take that opportunity today. Lord, I pray you speak to our hearts today. Maybe you want to pray this prayer. This Christmas would be a good time to do this. I accept your gift of joy today. I accept your gift of strength. I want to accept your gift of power in my life. You may have been a Christian for a long time, but you probably are going to want to say something to Him like, Jesus, I still need you every day. Ask you to forgive me again and again and again for all I've done. Thank you. Not only are you born into the world, that you can be born in me today. I need you to guide my life. There are a lot of things, Lord, I need to learn with your struggle. My heart is today that you can experience this. That you will have the joy, exceeding great joy in your life. From this day forward, Father, thank you for your love for us. Exceeds anything that our minds can come up with. Lord, I pray that you will speak to our hearts now during this few moments. I know the altar's open. Let me get here and pray with you. You need prayer. I'll pray that the others that pray behind me here. It's not taking a few minutes and let you do some business with God. One-on-one. It's not about the other person next to you. It's about you and you with God. Share your needs. Amen.
Joy to the world.
And let's stand together.